Hello. We're continuing with my notes for cell biology and life science in a nutshell. Hope you can hear me. Okay. So we have reached the section of digging a little bit deeper into um, the membranes of cells and the molecules that make up cell membranes, aka phospholipids. And we learned that phospholipids are made up of long fatty acid chains, which are hydrophobic, attached to glycerol, which is attached to a polar phosphate group. So the schematic shows what it looks like. Bilayer consists of two of these facing one another. So the polarity is on either side, while the non-polarity is on the inside of the membrane. It's the double layer. So, so the phosphate group is a negatively charged polar head. It is modified by an alcohol. The fatty acid chains are hydrophobic. If phospholipids are placed in water, they form into micelles, which are lipid molecules arranging themselves in a spherical form in aqueous solutions. So the hydrophilic sides face outward and are attracted to intracellular as well as extracellular fluid. So the hydrophobic tails face the inside of the bilayer, attracted. So they attract similarly nonpolar molecules, and they meet in the inner region of the membrane. The fatty acids do. Phospholipids are the major component of the plasma membrane, the outermost layer of animal cells. Like fats, they're composed of the fatty acid chains attached to glycerol backbone. Unlike triglycerides, which have 3 fatty acids, phospholipids have 2 fatty acids that form diacylglycerol. The third carbon of the glycerol backbone is accompanied by a modified phosphate group. So if you have just phosphate group attached to the diacylglycerol, this is not a phospholipid. This is called phosphatidate diacylglycerol 3-phosphate, the precursor to phospholipids. To qualify as a phospholipid, the phosphate group should be modified by an alcohol. Phosphatidylcholine and phosphatidylserine are examples of 2 important phospholipids found in plasma membranes. So again, a phospholipid is an amphipathic, meaning it has polarity and non-polarity as well, molecule, so hydrophobic and hydrophilic components within the molecule. So phosphate on an end, called the head. The 2 side-by-side fatty acid chains are the lipids tails. The head is polar, hydrophilic. The tail is non-polar, hydrophobic, which means it's repelled by water. Some lipid tails consisting of saturated fatty acids. Others may contain unsaturated fatty acids. So the combination of unsaturated and saturated fatty acids and contribute to the variation in the fluidity of the membrane and its permeability. the two adjacent layers of phospholipids form the bilayer. The phosphate heads face outward, aqueous sides. Phospholipids, fatty acid tails face the inner, inside of the double layer. And the polarity attracts the water as well as the polar aspects of the various molecules contained within the cell and in extracellular fluid as well. The semipermeability of the membrane is determined by the phospholipids' chemical and physical characteristics. Only lipophilic molecules or solutes easily pass the phospholipid bilayer. The membrane is important in cell communication and metabolism, various biological functions. Again, showing the phospholipid molecule with the phosphate, the glycerol, and the saturated as well as unsaturated fatty acid tails. The phosphate may be modified or is modified by charged or polar chemical groups, such as alcohol groups in the phospholipid molecule. For example, choline and serine may modify the phosphate group, attaching. They are labeled as R, and they bind the phosphate via hydroxyl groups or OH group, the OH group. So the R is right here. So more diagrams showing this is the structure formula of phospholipid or phosphatidylcholine with fatty acid tails. So the fatty acid here that is stearic acid shown here. So there's two of the same molecule that is attached to the rest of the phospholipid or the glycerol backbone phosphate group and the alcohol modification. So the bilayer looks like this with the hydrophilic heads and hydrophobic tails. And this is a micelle showing how a cell would be made with this kind of molecule, amphipathic molecule. So these kind of phospholipid molecules aggregate into micelle type shapes, aka the lipid bilayers of cells. The hydrophobic ends are shielded away from the water, and the hydrophilic ends are oriented towards the watery medium. The cell's plasma membrane therefore contains proteins as well as lipids, such as cholesterol, within the phospholipid bilayer that interact with the polar and nonpolar aspect of the bilayer. The unsaturated hydrophobic tails give the membranes fluidity because the phospholipid molecules are prevented from forming a solid and packing together. So the unsaturated tail is shown here with the double bond. Unsaturated fatty acids have a kink in the molecule which prevents it from tightly packing together and gives the membrane a certain amount of flexibility and fluidity. And these are the micelles. So you have polarity on one side, non-polarity on the other side. So we'll continue in the next part. Thank you.